Okay, here we go. This is my presentation on the effects of pastoral video training on youth ministry. So this is my project that I've been working on for quite some time now, and really just a lot of cool things to share with you. So I hope that you enjoy. So let me go over my abstract real quick. So the whole purpose of this project and the reason that I really wanted to do it was because I noticed that even within youth ministry that I'm working in, there's not a whole lot of resources available for pastors that are either short comprehensive trainings and tips, or the things that there are locked behind paywall. So there's limited resources available. So what I went ahead and did is I created 9 YouTube shorts that would be tips and some training information on how to do youth ministry, how to set up a youth group, and various topics as well. And overall, through the project, I noticed that there was some really good response. There was a lot of good viewership. And so ultimately, I concluded that there is a lot of benefit to having these short videos available for youth pastors. So in the pictures to the right here, you can see that, these are if you just type in youth pastor trainings, these are the top 4 that come up. And you can see time-wise, one's 29 minutes, one's 40 minutes, one's 20, one's 38. Now, I'm not advocating that we not do these trainings, simply that there are some time constraints for youth pastors at times, and really for all of us. And so my goal was to target that audience in that specific niche of people that are looking for good trainings, but are wanting something that's pretty quick, bite-sized, but that is still pretty meaty in terms of the content. The picture below is a page called Youth Ministry Coaching. I follow them on YouTube. They have some stuff that's free, but a lot of their stuff, you can see it's $300 a month, which is a lot, or $850 quarterly that you can pay for some of this material. So like I said, a lot of it is locked behind a paywall. And if you're new to youth ministry, I've been doing youth ministry now for about 6.5 years. And I'm no expert by any means, but there are some things that I've learned along the way that I really wish I would have known before. So some of that stuff you can find on my portfolio, but for right now, let's just keep moving here. So in my literature review, the first material that I went through was called Adolescent Mental Health, the Role of Youth and College Pastors. Now, this was an interesting article. I really enjoyed it. But overall, what was talked about here was just how youth pastors and college pastors are oftentimes the front line in terms of addressing mental health and gaining firsthand interaction, being a touch point for their students as they're going through this journey. So youth and college pastors are frequently the first point of contact for mental health issues. What the study looked at was that if more training would help pastors feel more comfortable with recognizing and being able to effectively work with them and know when to refer out when working with mental health issues. One of the interesting things I found about this article was that it said that 71% of pastors that were surveyed felt inadequately trained to recognize mental health illness, even though 73% reported at least some training in the area. And, I have to confess that I'd probably fall in that same category, having some mental health background and training, finishing up my undergrad here in psychology. And yet, when faced with a student who comes to me and they're dealing with something that is maybe not in my normal realm of understanding, it is something that I do feel a little bit more inadequately trained in, even though I have a basic knowledge of it. So the whole study basically concluded talking about how there is a need for more training for pastors to work effectively with health professionals. And so it was just a really good read. So the next one was, how do pastors connect their academic learning with their pastoral practice, negotiating the tension between theory and practice? Now, I think this is really good. It goes along with a lot of the stuff I preach, which is how do you take your head knowledge and put it to your heart, really just try to live out the gospel and what you know. So, but this is a great question for pastors to ask. How do we navigate those waters? I don't like how they worded it, the tension. I don't necessarily think there's a tension. I think that it's something that just, you know, as we read in a bit, that's something that comes with time and experience. So what they did is they surveyed 3 groups, 8 recent grads, 7 who had been in ministry between 6 to 15 years, and 6 who had been in ministry over 16 years. And they wanted to see, how do they navigate this, taking what you've learned academically, the theories and everything you've studied and read about in terms of how to do ministry and how to care for people pastorally and love them and just show Jesus to them. How do you take that and put it into practice? And how do you navigate that? And know when to do what. So what I read there was that pastors just need to recognize the differences and adjust depending on their practical application. Adjust to practical application. And I think the biggest point to drive here, which I wrote here in the second bullet point, is that practice is what shapes our understanding of theory. And I found that to be quite true in my years of doing youth ministry. A lot of the stuff that I've learned and read about in books or I've been taught, it really doesn't come to life until you implement it. You know, one of the things that comes off the top of my head in terms of not necessarily working with adolescents or the church, but being a pastor, you know, I was blessed to be surrounded with godly men who've been in ministry for many, many years. And one of the biggest things they told me was, you got to make sure you take care of your family. Don't let ministry overconsume it and at the detriment of your home life. And it's a biblical principle. And so it's something that I understood intellectually, but I've tried to implement in my life, put that theory into practice, and not overdo everything for the sake of the church and leave my family kind of in disarray, if that makes sense. So in the article, excuse me, Wong concluded that practice, which is learning and then taking action and then reflection, should be the minister's goal and foundational theory. And I would wholeheartedly agree with that. If you're not learning, first of all, you're not going to know what to do. And if you learn and you do it, and I think the awesome thing, which is hard, is when we mess up and when we fail. We learn from our mistakes, know what to do, what not to do. And so that's praxis. Wong concluded that is, in essence, our goal as ministers, and that should be our foundational theory. So it's just the navigating between academic and practice. So last one was the effects of pastoral crisis intervention training on resilience and compassion fatigue in clergy, a pilot study. This one was really cool because I had not thought about the hazards, if you will, of being in a helping service or in pastoral ministry, and just the baggage that you can encounter in that. We recently had flooding here, and to be in the middle of that crisis with people and walk with them can certainly bring on, if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't have the adequate training, a burnout or compassion fatigue. So the study was conducted to see if pastoral crisis intervention training before encountering a crisis gave pastors more resilience, less compassion fatigue, less burnout, and less secondary traumatic stress. As some of my first responder friends, you know, in conversation with them, whether they're police or firefighters or paramedics, some of that stuff that you encounter on a daily basis is stuff that you take home with you. And so to have the training as a pastor before on how to deal with that when you encounter these crisis situations, on how to know and understand how to work through that, that's what this study aimed to do, so that pastors wouldn't face as much burnout or really just become cold and calloused and just compassion fatigue or have some of that secondary traumatic stress. Interestingly enough, the article talks about how the American Red Cross utilizes a formal training program which helps lower the levels of compassion fatigue and burnout, which I thought was really cool because you've got a big organization like the American Red Cross that's already doing this. So why aren't we implementing this in our academic studies when training pastors or for any at any level, or anyone who's looking at going into ministry. So they found that yes, ultimately prior training does equip clergy better to deal with the effects of helping others in a crisis situation. So I thought these three were really relevant to my study because for the first one, I work with adolescents all the time, and yeah, I am a touch point. And one of the things it talked about was how oftentimes we refer people to medical professionals. And I think that that's for me, someone who is not well-versed in a lot of mental health problems and how to deal with them. I deal with the spiritual aspect. There are some things that there is some crossover, but to be able to understand that I need a little bit more training was really good. Next one was learning to navigate between theory and practice. Yeah, I see that a lot. I know I may know how to do things practically and have a theory about it, but to put it into practice, that's when it really becomes real. And then the next one is, yeah, there are trainings that need to, that I myself also need to do, and even equip my leaders. I've got 10 people that I work with that kind of serve under me as my co-leaders in youth group, but I need to equip them better to deal with some of these situations that some of our students encounter. So that was a lot. I hope you're still staying with me. Okay, hypothesis. My hypothesis was pretty simple, was that with all this knowledge and with having, for me personally, this is kind of what spurred it on. I didn't have those video trainings. I started from scratch, and I had people that that I could lean on for wisdom, but no one who had really paved this way before me in terms of how to do things practically and trainings and tips. And so I really wish I would have had that one-on-one. This is how to be a youth pastor 101 type thing, and these are the documents that you would really benefit from. So that's why I really wanted to create the study. My hypothesis was that providing video trainings online would increase the effectiveness of pastors, leaders in youth ministry and better equip them for the work that they are called to do. So that was my hypothesis. Now, going on to my method, that was a lot. This was a 2-year process, and it's summed up in just a few slides, but something that I really have been working on, learning this new skill to be able to take what I know and share it with people who could hopefully benefit from it. Sorry, but the method was I had to first learn how to record video. I had no idea how to do that. I used my cell phone, and that was it. I had to learn how to record audio, and I had to learn how to edit, and that was timely. And through that, before making these 9 videos, I made so many other videos on random topics so that I was able to learn how to do the process. And I used a DaVinci Resolve as a program here. It's a free software. I wanted to do everything for as minimally as I could in terms of a cost. So I also, after doing all that, I had to learn how to upload to YouTube, create thumbnails, and just some of the science behind that. What's eye-catchy, and how can I, if I'm putting time and effort into making these videos, how can I best do my part for people to click on it and actually watch the video? That's half the battle. So I had to learn how to create thumbnails and how to market my content to people. And I have a circle of co-pastors. I have some subscribers on YouTube, and I have parents. All these people are contacts that I emailed all this stuff to. So that was some of my method. The design part was that I would create 9 60-second YouTube shorts. And the reason I put 60 seconds is because Instagram, for example, is the most used social media platform right now, if you aren't counting YouTube as a social media platform. But they have stories, and that's really been a big point for people to come back and continue to use Instagram. TikTok, huge success recently. Probably won't be in 5 years or maybe less, but 60 seconds just to catch people real quick. That's what I wanted to do. My videos are between 160 and 200 words. You don't have much more room with that within 60 seconds, and you got to be so meticulous about what you say. You have to script it out, and it's a process. So the way that my project is designed is for me to be able to continue to upload more content on different topics in the future. It's going to be an ongoing project of mine. I've really enjoyed making videos. It's a new passion and hobby that I found. I don't do it for anything else, but really for number one, for me, it's just kind of a personal outlet, but also there's some stuff I'd love to share with people, and maybe one or two people can benefit from it, and that would be awesome. So my procedure was, first of all, I gathered a lot of the material and articles. I went through all my documents from all the courses I've taken here in my psych program. So I gathered all that. And then I gathered material from the last 8 years of pastoral ministry that I've done. And after I'd done all that, I really took some time and just sat down and brainstormed what are some topics. And I've got a list. I really wish I could have put more videos out, but the production is quite timely. But to brainstorm topics of interest and discussion among specifically youth pastors and leaders, just on how to be as effective as you can. So I created 9 videos out of this, and each one that I created required about 2 to 3 hours of time between the start and the finish in terms of editing and scripting and filming and refilming and filming and all that stuff. So and so these are the 9 topics that I did. I did psychology and Christianity. I did communication tips for youth pastors. What should we focus on in youth ministry? Creating a calendar for youth ministry, 3 must-dos in youth ministry. And again, these are, the titles are intended to be sort of clickbait to try to attract the most people as possible. Not necessarily clickbait, but more just, maybe I'm just trying to attract people. Like 3 must-dos in youth ministry. Oh my gosh, what is that? Let me click. So that's the idea behind that. Number 6 was youth group game strategies, 3 tips for sermon prep, improving your small group time, and building worship team youth groups. So these are kind of the base starter videos. And from these, you can branch out and make a lot more videos. But for right now, this is kind of where I've started. So the design, this is a video example. This one is called youth group game strategy. So let me go ahead and play it for you.
Most youth groups are laid out in 4 sections: games, sermon, small groups, and worship time. We're going to take a look at these 4 areas to help you have a successful youth group night. Let's start with games. Games are a great icebreaker and a good way to start your night. Now, I like to break my games down into 2 sections: active games and passive games. Active games would be like dodgeball, capture the flag, shuffle your buns. Passive games would be like 3 on a couch, psychiatrist, or triple threat. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry. In the comment section, I'll pin a YouTube channel called Youth Ministry Great Games. It's a great resource for you to start out and look at what games would be applicable to your setting. And don't be afraid to try new games and even fail. If it doesn't stick, then just switch the game and you've learned something new. Just remember to have fun and learn what your students like. It's a great way to connect with your students, fellowship with them, and create a sense of community.
Okay, so that was my youth group game strategies. Let's go to the next one. Is building worship team. Building a worship team at youth group. We're only going to watch 2 for now. You can check the playlist for more. So
closing the night, we always have worship time. Yes, I understand that worship is defined in many different ways, but for the sake of this video, musical worship will just be referenced as worship. I'll be sharing tips for those who are musical and then those who aren't. Now, as a musician, starting this out was a lot easier for me. So if that's you, find students or leaders who are interested in learning sound or music or tech. And if you don't have any, then use your abilities to teach them. It's a timely investment, but in 1 year's time, you should be able to have a self-sustaining team. Now, if you don't have any musical ability, then ask for help. Maybe it's your worship pastor, someone from your church, someone from a different church. Then ask students who is interested in music ministry. In the meantime, you can project 2 to 3 lyric videos from YouTube and then close in prayer. Now, I know it's not ideal, but the important thing is to allow your students an opportunity to praise and worship God through song. This is a tough one and can be a stumbling block, but don't be discouraged and don't give up. Just keep pressing on. I hope this helps, and blessings, my friends.
Okay, it's always weird watching yourself. All right, so going on to method, my participants. So these videos were shared on my YouTube channel, which has 3,700 subscribers who can view it. I also shared this with other youth pastors in a network that I'm in here locally. And I also posted this on my Facebook page and sent it out to my weekly email group of parents and students, so they were able to take a look at it. So my results here were pretty surprising. I was really happy with the amount of traction that these videos received. So this is based off of 12 days of from the moment I uploaded my videos to 12 days after. So within that time, I was able to get 1,426 views on these 9 60-second videos. There was 11 hours of total watch time. So, you know, just looking at this, these are the YouTube analytics are from studio.youtube.com, and it's just kind of neat to be able to pull up all the statistics on every video you get. So interestingly enough, and this is data taken from December 1st of 2021, Sermon Prep here had 697 views, which was my most watched video. And then, you know, the difference, the lowest one was improving small group time, which was only viewed 14 times. So it's just kind of interesting to see just the differences in what people were watching. And so, you know, based on all this, I really didn't think that I was going to get this many people to watch it, but I can kind of conclude that my hypothesis is correct, that this clearly shows that there is a need and a desire for this kind of content to be readily accessible and free for people. Now, obviously, I need more data to confirm that. I don't have any surveys, and it's difficult with YouTube because you just watch a video and people don't really necessarily even hit the like button to know that, yeah, this was a good video. Excuse me, I think my sermon prep video, the one with the most views, only has like 10 likes or something like that, whereas my youth group game strategy has like 12, something like that. But you can see the viewership is totally different. So it's not always an accurate measurement, and it wouldn't be a valid point of data just because you don't have a sufficient or accurate information. Now, what I did think I could do is create surveys and like their SurveyMonkey and just put them in the links of the description. But even then, if you only have a few people that actually take the survey, your results won't be accurate in terms of if this material helped with the effectiveness of the youth pastors and leaders in youth ministry or not. So something I want to think about, and I talk about that kind of in the future. So another thing that I had also thought about was sending this out to maybe just 50 people that will be able to watch and see these videos and try to implement some of the stuff that they learn in their youth ministry, and do a before and after survey and try to get some data points that way. I think that would be a little bit more accurate. So let's take a look at the next one. Some discussion. I think that the numbers do speak for themselves, and that this kind of training is definitely needed. I know certainly I wish that there were more pastors that were seasoned and were able to create content that was short and readily available for young pastors like me. I've only been doing youth ministry for 6.5 years, and I don't have all the knowledge, and I don't have all the tips and tricks and the best way to do things. I think I know a few things on how to do youth ministry well, and so that's why I shared what I did. But yeah, there's a huge need. I think there's a huge need for that. Quick tips and trainings for youth pastors is necessary. And one thing that I didn't really talk about too much in my paper, but I did want to bring up in discussion is that the idea of emotional intelligence. When we have, as youth pastors or ministers, higher emotional intelligence, when we're able to understand not only ourselves, but those who we minister to, and why they do what they do, and for various reasons, both from a biblical perspective, but also from a holistic perspective of who they are and their lives and situations and whatnot. Anyways, it leads to a higher job satisfaction. So if you understand and are better equipped and trained with dealing with people, it just allows you to really have satisfaction in what you do. Nobody wants to be in a position where they hate what they do. And so this leads to higher satisfaction is what we saw in this article. But it also reduces burnout. And so I think that's really cool as well. So training is essential. My limitations was that I was not, like I discussed, I wasn't able to effectively survey every person and say, hey, did this improve the effectiveness of how you do youth ministry, and can you take a survey? I really wish I could have gotten all 1,400 people that viewed the material to let me know. But even then, it's such a short time. I might not have accurate data for that, but that was one of my limitations. Another limitation that I had was that I had to learn all this stuff by myself, and I had to, I didn't have a team to do my edits or to give me ideas. I didn't have high-tech equipment. I didn't have a great production value. And my project is still ongoing. I'm going to continue to upload videos even after I finish my my project here, my degree and everything. It's still stuff that I really enjoy doing. And so there's still some content and some videos that I've got scripted out that I'm going to be uploading. And I hope that people will still watch it. And I hope others will make time and share what they've learned as well. So for future research, I would love to do future videos. I'd love to do a collaboration with other pastors and get ideas even on how to do better production and know what sticks better with people. What will people watch? I'll probably also create a survey like I mentioned earlier and send it to a select group of youth pastors here in Whatcom County to get the opinion of before and after in terms of the effectiveness of youth ministry after they've watched these video trainings. And one thing for me to do is to do bi-weekly video releases. Yeah, I think that that's doable, certainly, to add that. And I think that it would be good for to know what kind of content people want to see and what kind of videos and tips pastors are looking for. So one last thing to remember, last video, and then we'll conclude here.
Youth ministry can be complicated to say the least, and it can be easy to worry and stress out about things that at the end of the day don't really matter. Now, yes, the color of the walls, the relevance of your sermon topics, and which game will engage kids the most is important, just not the most important. In Matthew 6:25, Jesus tells us not to worry, and it all culminates in verse 33, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you." This is a fundamental principle and a great reminder for us as youth pastors that we need to be primarily seeking the kingdom of God in our youth ministries. Now, I'm all for fun and games, but never forget why you were called into youth ministry. That is to share the gospel with this next generation. So, always center your youth ministry around seeking the kingdom of God first. Then, let the rest fall in place. So next time you're sweating the details and worrying, just remember.
Yeah, just remember, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. I think that's such a relevant passage for all of us. Here are some of my references. I'll have a link to my paper in the description here. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. It's a recent picture we took here at the trampoline zone, but my kids, and it's such a joy for me to minister to them. And so that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really want to equip other pastors as well with some helpful tips and trainings, and I'd love for them to equip me. So please, if you are stuff, make a video. Would love to see it. So I'm going to end my sharing here. Not sure. So, okay, that's my project. That is my my project on the effects of video trainings on pastoral ministry, so on youth ministry. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. But thanks so much for your time.